Shut up and sit down.
We are back inside Wisconsin. Trevor Thomas, John Anderson, TJ Lang. All right, TJ, you mentioned it a few times. It is a damn travesty that we have only had one Super Bowl victory in the last 12 years or whatever it is. I have, though, vivid memories of you getting your hands on that Lombardi Trophy, and I don't think you let it go. I have this mental image of you walking onto the plane with the Lombardi Trophy, and then when we were there, when you all got off the bus for the return to Titletown thing, you still had the damn thing in your hands. Did you just take it hostage, or what was all that about?
I don't remember how the hell they even let me touch that thing because first of all, I was like we talked about, I was like the sixth offensive lineman. I didn't even play in the game outside of, extra points and field goals. I think like all of our offensive linemen were together, and that was just our time to have the trophy. They were passing around from all the starters and stuff. We were all taking pictures with it. And right when we got back to the stadium, it was like my turn to take a picture. And when I looked up, everybody was getting off the bus. So I carried it off the bus in front of all these fans out there and holding it up. And they're probably like, who the hell's this guy? I thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be the guy, or Greg Jennings or Jordy Nelson holder, Charles Woodson, being the one that gets off the bus with the trophy. I don't know how I got it. I think it was just the timing of the whole, just pass it around the bus, everybody snapping pictures with it. And when it was my turn to hold the trophy, just so happened to be the time we had to get off the bus with it. But that was really cool. And that whole, thinking back on it now, I don't realize how spoiled I was to be able to win a championship in my second year in the NFL, right? And at the time, you kind of took it for granted because you're like, okay, I've only been here 2 years, we already won. It's not that hard. And then by year 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you realize how hard it is to get back there and how hard it is to win the NFC Championship game and get back. And those are some of the things that you reflect on when you're done playing. Kind of just boils down to, I wish I would have appreciated, that 2010 team and that championship a little bit more, because you kind of took it for granted, especially as a young player, to say, oh, you want it? Yeah, we'll win it again. No problem. We got Aaron Rodgers. We got these guys. We got, studs everywhere. We'll get back. And we never did. And I wish I would have appreciated a little bit more, but I don't know how I got my hands on that trophy. I don't know why they ever gave it to me, because I was, at the time, I wasn't even really a role player on the team. I was just kind of a clumsy backup lineman that was kind of the hype guy. But that was definitely a great experience, man.
That's fun.
So I wasn't there. It was a cold day, right?
Freezing. Yeah. 10 degrees.
I would have put my tongue on that thing so it would have stuck to it. And you could never take it from me.
Can't take it from me.
Here I am. I don't know how you're going to take this thing away from me.
It was so cool, man. It was
I
cool,
learned that
too.
a lot about guys who win. And it's not even if it's – I guess maybe if you're 10 or 12 years in, you get the struggle. But appreciation becomes a thing for what you've accomplished. But people don't understand that. I watch, and I'm a big golf guy as well, and I watch all the time, and they go, before that guy's career is over, he's going to win 3 or 4 majors. And I always think, no, he's not.
Yeah.
It's really hard to win one. And when you have so much success and you go to some of these championship games, it's always like, well, they should have won more. I'm not sure people in general realize how hard it is to win one, any of them, whether it's how you get how the draw comes out with who you have to face, whether it's injuries. I mean, if you would explain to people that almost any kind of Super Bowl expectation is really a almost unrealistic expectation to go through every year.
Well, I think the one person that's kind of shaded everybody's mind into thinking that it's easy is Tom Brady, right? I mean, he's there every single year. Maybe that's why people think it's easy, because wherever Tom Brady goes, they're going to go to the Super Bowl and probably win, right? But yeah, as a player, I mean, being with a guy just as, if not more talented than Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, and getting back to, playing in 3 or 4 NFC Championship games and getting back to him year after year, everything just really has to happen perfect, especially in the NFC Championship games. And it's just so hard, man. And when you look at that 2014 game in Seattle, it was like everything's going right for us. It feels like, we're up, I think at the 16-0 or something like that. I want to say in the third quarter, and they faked the field goal for a touchdown, and we're like, whatever, it doesn't matter. Their offense can't move the ball. They're not going to do it again. And then it boils down to, 2-point conversion, an onside kick that happens to bounce their way. And just like that, your season's over. And it's just, you don't realize how well you have to play in those big games and how just, almost damn near perfect you have to be just to win those games. And getting back to it again in 2016, we're kind of limping into it a little bit, but I mean, it felt like getting off the plane in Atlanta, we were down 21 points. That's just how good they were that year. And it's just, you almost have to just tip your cap just because it was just their time to go to the Super Bowl, and obviously they had a heartbreak, right? Just like we did in the NFC Championship game a couple years before, being up 28-3 in the damn Super Bowl and not being able to win. That tells you how hard it is to win. If you let your foot off the gas for 1 second and the other team makes one play and they get that momentum, that can change everything. I mean, the biggest regrets that I had leaving the NFL was, not winning another ring. And the teams that we had to do it, we had the talent to do it. We just could not, for whatever reason, 1 or 2 plays in each game. And it's tough to win. So, but I think Tom Brady has spoiled a lot of fans into that thinking where it's easy. Right. And it's not easy, man. It's one of the hardest things to do. And like you said, John, it is almost unrealistic expectations to expect your team to go to the Super Bowl every year and win.
Inside Wisconsin, TJ, is all about the people, the stories, and the statriotism of America's Dairyland, where we want to tell some of the stories that nobody knows about you or your time with the Packers. And so tell us a story about when you were a rookie and you had to go out for these O-line dinners here in Green Bay. Where'd you go? What's your favorite restaurant, and how much was that tab?
I love Green Bay. I don't want to bash Green Bay here at all, but the restaurant scene there was not nearly as painful as it would have been living in a big city. I could say that. going to Hinterland or Chives, I mean, you can get an excellent meal for like $30-$40 a man. So I was very lucky to do that. They actually saved my rookie dinner for the Pittsburgh week. We played Pittsburgh in 2009, and we went out, and that was my rookie meal, and it ran up to about I want to say probably about $6K, and I think about $4K of that was wine, right? From like 2 or 3 of the guys that just ordered like $3,000 bottles of wine. It was incredible. And actually, funny story about that, my credit card like maxed out at like $3,000. So I had to have Darren College pay for the other half, and then I had to give him the rest of the money the week after that. But it was living in Green Bay, man. It's not like living in some of these big cities, Chicago, New York, LA, where you can't go get a meal for under $300. I was lucky enough to be in a pretty cheap restaurateur city.
So were guys mindful, because I think that's all great, but it's the guys that order 4 bottles of wine and take them home with them. I don't feel like that should be within. I don't know what the unwritten rules of these things are, but we're guys at least pretty cool about that part. They're like, we're just going to do what we do here in these next couple hours.
Yeah, most of the guys were, except for Trev. I don't know how much you keep up with like Darren College and Jason Spitz and those guys. They have their own winery now, and they're big out in California. So they were like our wine connoisseurs. So that's when I say like $4,000 of the check was wine. It was those 2 assholes that put all that on me, and it was like 2 or 3 bottles of wine. It's not like everybody's getting hammered before the game, but you're looking at the check and you're like, "There's no way." Like I saw what everybody ate. How is it $6,000? And then you're like, "Oh, okay, $3,000 for this bottle, $25 for this bottle." So you definitely get a couple guys that like to make you pay, but it's kind of just one of those things that everybody had to go through, And I was lucky enough that we only had 1 or 2 of those guys, and not 7 or 8 of them, because then you remember the next year when it was Brian Balaga's year. I'm like, yeah, I'm hammering you, dude. Like, I'm like, and you're a first rounder, so it's not even going to hurt as bad. But I'm hammering your ass.
Speaking of guys who are wine guys and vintners, is our man Charles Woodson. You talked about what it was like to grow up watching it. At what point did you get in the locker room with Charles Woodson and go like, that's a teammate. I got to treat him like a teammate, not like that's Charles Woodson. Oh, my God, that's the guy I watched at Michigan. That's got to be an amazing transformation that has to take place.
Yeah, John, it took me probably a year to get used to it. I'm not kidding. And when I first came in and I'm looking at the locker rooms, And, you got all the offensive line over here, then you got all the defensive line. And then for some reason, the DBs were like right next to the offensive linemen. And I think I was 2 or 3 lockers down from Charles. Mm-hmm. And I remember just looking at the name tag. The first time I walked in, I looked at my locker, and I'm like, holy shit, it's my locker. And then I stared at Charles's for probably 10 minutes. I'm not even kidding. And I was just like, oh my God. And you're just thinking of all these memories watching him play. And I had probably 6 or 7 Charles Woodson posters on my wall in my bedroom as a kid, and just plaques everywhere and just memorabilia. And I don't think I talked to Charles for probably the whole first season. I don't know if I ever said a word to him, because it's just like it's almost like this bigger than life personality. And Charles, getting to play with him for, I think it was 4 years, maybe 5 years that I got to play with him. You just realize like what an awesome person he is, an awesome teammate he is. And those are the type of guys, when you're a young player, like you want to win for yourself. Yeah. But like, you almost want to win more for those guys, just because you see how much work they've put into this thing and how long they've been doing it for. And Charles was just like, I mean, it took me a year before I was like, I kind of mustered it up, and I kind of felt like that little, 9-10-year-old kid watching him play big time football, to kind of go up and be like, hello, Mr. Woodson, could you sign something for me? You forget that you're teammates and you're out there battling with each other on the same side. So that was an amazing experience, man. And I had that with a couple guys. Donald Driver was a guy I watched for a long time too. And being in the huddle with him when I was a rookie was just like, I mean, I think I forgot to play, because I'm looking around the huddle and I'm looking at all these guys that I grew up watching and just, inspired me. And it was just like, okay, dude, snap out of it, man. Like, you're with these guys. So, but Charles, man, that was, I don't get starstruck much. Charles was definitely probably the biggest moment in my career, whether teammate wise or facing a guy in the field, that I was literally in awe just in his presence. I mean, he just has that bigger than life personality. And for me, having a different perspective, watching him play really since he was an 18-year-old kid, it was just it was an unbelievable moment. And when I finally got the courage to talk to him, I mean, he couldn't have been a nicer guy. And I think he knew that I was kind of intimidated, because I had done some interviews where I said, oh, it's Charles Woodson, so I think he kind of knew that already. But he was just an awesome teammate, man.
John grew up in Green Bay, literally blocks away from Lambeau Field. I moved here with Amanda in 2006, and I now work literally right next door to Lambeau Field. What is your most memorable Lambeau Field moment? Because that place is just, I mean, it's a mecca, right, in all of sports, and you played there for 8 years.
Wow, that's a tough one. I mean, that's a lot of games, and oof. Most memorable for me probably would have been 2014 season playing Dallas in the divisional round at home. Just because it was such an up and down game and back and forth and cold, freezing cold. And it was the ultimate for me personally, not for the team, but it was like the ultimate wave of emotions, because I had a really, I still to this day think it was a clean play, but I had a really kind of, when you look back on it, probably dumb penalty that we would have been like 3rd and 1 from like the 10-yard line down, 6 points, I think. I don't remember the exact situation, but I had a dumb personal foul that backed us up. We had to kick a field goal. And the only thing, I'm sitting on the sideline, and I was almost begging my teammates to forgive me, because I'm like, I think I just, robbed us of 4 points in a playoff game, in a close playoff game. And I think the very next possession, Julius Peppers knocked the ball out of DeMarco Murray's hand for a fumble, and we go down and score. And then the whole Des Bryant thing happens, and then we get the ball and close out the game. I just remember sitting in the locker room after the game, like almost in tears, because I went from being so frightened that I was going to be the reason why we lost this playoff game to literally like walking around the locker room, hugging my teammates for like having my back, and just going out there and finishing the game and not giving up. And walking off that field after that game, I mean, it was just almost like a huge sigh of relief, because I never wanted to be that guy that lost a game for us. But that was an unbelievable football game. What embodies Lambeau Field is a playoff game at Lambeau Field in January. I mean, you want to get true Lambeau Field and the true fans and really experience the entire thing. I mean, that's what it was all about. That was probably my favorite game that we played there.
We're going to convince people that you're a true offensive lineman because we all know you guys, you're demented when it really comes down to it. We'll be back to wrap things up with TJ Lang right after this. Helpful critiques, ideas, great stories, people we should know, the great bar in your town, the fish fry you want to know, the fish boil, anything that you want to reach out to us with. We are happy. We are here. You can be the inputters. We're here to listen.
Shut up and sit down.